Hi stars, this is Luminousz Star. Welcome to another vlog day. I want to thank all of my stars for the current subscription. I want to congratulate all of my stars and say kudos and bravo. And on that note, mwah, thank you guys and gals so much for sharing your stories, keeping me motivated and inspired to thrive forward. But not only do you do that for me, you're doing it for other people who resonate with your stories. So keep sharing your stories. Don't be silent about it. The narcissist and cluster personality, they want you to suffer in silence. This is not something that's probably going to work in your benefit or in your favor. So you may want to go ahead and continue to share your stories. And just know that you are absolutely changing other people's lives for the better when you do so. Everyone who's visiting for the first time, welcome to Luminousz Star. Should you want to become a part of our Star family, please select that subscription button below. And I want to go ahead and thank you in advance for joining our Star family, which is growing every day. So this is very exciting. All of you who are current subscribers, my current stars, don't forget to make sure that you have selected that notification bell. I don't want you to miss any of the vlogs or any of the videos. Should you become a new subscriber, don't forget to check the notification bell. Narcissists and cluster personalities, yeah, they have selected amnesia. This is a defense mechanism. This is also the way that they express that they are in survival mode. The narcissist and cluster personality, they have a false self-image to uphold. That false self-image may be that of a person who's been brokenhearted, a person who is a victim. So if you express how you have experienced him or her in a way that suggests that your heart has been broken by him or her, they're going to turn that around and treat you and possibly falsely accuse you of breaking their hearts. Okay, this is also called the blaming game. They will blame you for certain things that have occurred in the relationship that has resulted in you and them growing in different directions. Okay, there isn't any such thing as separation. You have grown in different directions. There were choices that you made. There were choices that he or she has made, which resulted in you both growing in different directions. Instead of the narcissist accepting that, as you probably have, they will falsely accuse you of pulling shenanigans. They will falsely accuse you of breaking their heart. They will falsely accuse you of doing certain things that have caused them some sort of grievances, right? So the narcissist and cluster personality, in order to make sure that their false self-image is thriving and surviving, they will falsely accuse you of breaking their hearts. They will falsely accuse you of pulling certain shenanigans that have caused them grievances, when really the reality doesn't reflect that. The narcissist and cluster personality, they often perceive others challenging him or her. They often perceive others threatening him or her. Simply put, whenever the narcissist and cluster personality feels a threat or a challenge to the false self-image, they will usually go on the rampage. They usually respond by falsely accusing others of things that they did not do, such as pulling certain shenanigans, such as breaking their hearts. Narcissists and cluster personalities, they're not easily offended. They have detached from the part of themselves which have enabled them to feel empathy for other people. So when you look at that type of person, they're probably not easily offended, nor are their hearts broken very often. They may have had their hearts broken from someone in their past, in their childhood. More than likely, when it comes to you, more than likely you have not broken their hearts. If anything, you may have bruised their egos. The narcissist and cluster personality, they have big egos, okay, overinflated egos. So whenever you start to express what you have experienced, they're going to more than likely falsely accuse you of pulling certain shenanigans that you have not pulled. Shenanigans, ironically, they have pulled. They're going to falsely accuse you of pulling those very same shenanigans. Now, you may be wondering, why would they do that? Well, because they have a false self-image to uphold. The false self-image may be that of a person who's a victim. The narcissist and cluster personality, they have several false self-images. Most of the time we think of them having one false self-image, but it's usually several. One of those false self-images, again, may be a person who's a victim. So if you're expressing what you have experienced with the narcissist and cluster B personality, or simply how you have experienced them and the dysfunctional relationship, and it reflects a person who has been brokenhearted from that you have been brokenhearted by him or her, then that doesn't match. See, that doesn't match their false self-image, which is that of a victim. So the narcissist and cluster B personality will then begin to see you as the person who has broken his or her heart by pulling certain shenanigans that they have pulled, such as gaslighting him. The narcissist and cluster B personality has several false self-images that usually work in the background of every relationship he or she has. You cannot see it very clearly. However, the narcissist and cluster B personality, their false self-images are usually at play, that are usually working behind the scenes, whereas you cannot see them very clearly. They're working to sabotage the relationship that you have. Simply put, the narcissist and cluster B personality, due to their defense mechanism and their survival mode, they're going to say and or do whatever is necessary in order to make sure that their false self-image or their false self-images are surviving and thriving. So when you express that your heart has been broken by him or her, they're going to flip that around and begin to see you as the person who broke his or her heart. I know it's a mind trick. However, a lot of narcissists and cluster B personalities, they pull this one. This is part of their playing mind games. They want you to believe and or think that you're the one who is really guilty. This is also how they project whatever they don't like about themselves onto others. The narcissist and cluster B personality, they have selective amnesia. They like to put it out of their consciousness that they have done certain things, such as pulling certain shenanigans in order to obtain the narcissistic supply from you. They may have pulled the shenanigan of gaslighting you in order to obtain the narcissistic supply from you. So when you express what you have experienced with him or her, such as you're having your heart broken because they pulled particular shenanigans, such as gaslighting you, and you remember it, so you're going to him or her and you are expressing this. The narcissist and cluster B personality, this is when their false self-image kicks into gear. One of them of all of them, their false self-images will kick into gear. This is part of their defense mechanism. Like a soldier, like a guard, like a person who's a security officer. The narcissist has false self-images that will rush and rescue him or her from reality. So when you begin to express some pain or frustration or disappointment or anger due to a certain shenanigan or shenanigans that the narcissist has pulled, this is when their false self-images will kick into gear. The narcissist and cluster B personality, they see themselves as a victim. So if you're expressing that you have been the victim, it's not going to work. The narcissist and cluster B personality will begin to, more than likely, falsely accuse you of being the one that broke their hearts, when the reality doesn't reflect that. This is exactly why some of you have been experiencing a lot of pain and frustration when expressing what you have experienced with the narcissist and or cluster B personality, simply because they have selective amnesia. And they also express this so well that it is very frustrating, right? It is very disappointing at times. And you may be quite confused about that. Well, why would the narcissist falsely accuse what they have done? Some of us have experienced confusion, myself included, about how is it that the cluster B personality and or the narcissist can falsely accuse others of what they have done to break other people's hearts. As I stated, they have selective amnesia. Their false self-images are always working in the background. The false self-images usually are not very clear. People usually overlook the false self-images. One of the false self-images is that of the narcissist or cluster B personality viewing themselves as a victim. Sometimes that's not made very apparent or clear to us until we express the pain that we have experienced by the narcissist breaking our hearts or pulling certain shenanigans to break our hearts. This is when we first see that particular false self-image pop up. It becomes very apparent. It becomes very clear to us. Oh my goodness, the narcissist and cluster B personality thinks that they're a victim. They think that I broke their hearts. Don't be fooled by that. The narcissist and cluster B personality, they're using that as a defense mechanism. They're using that as part of their selective amnesia. Narcissists and cluster B personalities, they never forget that they have obtained the supply from you. They only wish to forget how they did it. So the narcissist and cluster B personality, they will forget all of the details of how they obtained the narcissistic supply from you, while at the same time, they are clear as a bell that they have obtained the narcissistic supply from you. So when narcissists and cluster B personality get busy on trying to convince you that you are mistaken and that maybe you ought to check yourself, don't go for that. Remember, the narcissist and cluster B personality has a false self-image, actually several, to uphold and to keep thriving and surviving. The narcissist will do just about anything and say anything to make sure that the false self-image is thriving. There are some who become afraid of the narcissist, increasing their tactics for narcissistic supply. Due to their loyalty to their false self-image, the narcissist may do anything necessary to ensure that their strong sense of control and superiority is repaired. Narcissists have very little tolerance for those who challenge their false self-image. It usually does not matter to narcissists that others may be attempting to salvage their overall well-being due to the adverse effects of narcissistic abuse. The power dynamic must always be in his or her favor. Narcissists tend to loathe change. Therefore, if detected, he or she may increase their shenanigans for narcissistic supply if going no contact is being contemplated. So just be forewarned. Anyone who is contemplating going no contact or ending the dysfunctional relationship with a narcissist or cluster B personality, just know that he or she is not going to take it lightly. Okay, now this is not to discourage you from thriving forward. Just be forewarned. Okay, so it doesn't matter to the narcissist that others may be wanting to salvage their own life or their livelihood. They don't care about that. They are only loyal to their false self-image. All right, so the power dynamic must always be in his or her favor, no matter who, no matter what. So the narcissist does tend to loathe change. Their false self-image is usually threatened by change, is usually challenged by change. And due to their predatory natures, narcissists and cluster B personalities tend to detect if there's any changes or shifts in the relationship. Just think about an animal who's out on the hunt or on the prowl. Okay, so when they are zeroing in on a particular prey, any type of different movements of that prey, any type of shift or change within that prey, the predator is going to notice it because they're hunting. They have to keep a close eye. They have to be very watchful. So any type of change or shift in the dysfunctional relationship, due to the predatory nature of a narcissist and personality, they're going to detect it. And they're going to be prepared to intercept it. Just be aware of this. Tool number one, remember, the narcissist and cluster B personality has a false self-image that they're loyal to. They will say and or do just about anything to make sure that the false self-image that he or she has will survive and thrive. This means more than likely it's at the expense of others. All right, tool number 2. The narcissist and cluster B personality is notorious for playing mind games. So the next time you begin to express what you have experienced to him or her, remember, more than likely he or she is going to flip that around. They're going to get busy on guilt tripping you. This is to protect the perspective and the perception that they have of you, the world, and the false self-images. Okay? They have to protect and preserve that at all costs. This is part of their survival. The narcissist and cluster B personality, they will not take responsibility for breaking your heart under any circumstances. The narcissist and cluster B personality, they will begin to see you as the person that they are. Tool number 3, have a support base to express constructively what you have experienced. How have you experienced the narcissist? I'm jumping right into the first critical question. How have you experienced the narcissist? Critical question number 2. Do you often find that you are second guessing yourself when it comes to the narcissist? When the narcissist says or does something, do you place what they think and or feel before what you think and feel? In other words, do you place the narcissist before you? That's a 2-part second critical question. Okay, critical question number 3. Does the narcissist ever reach out to you in order to resolve any conflict or issue? That's a long question, but it's a very deep one. Because when you start checking the history of the dysfunctional relationship that you had with him or her, or currently, okay, so if you're reflecting on a current relationship that you have with a narcissist and cluster B personality, there's a common theme, more than likely, that you're going to catch that you haven't caught before. More than likely, as you reflect on the dysfunctional relationship with a narcissist and cluster B personality, there is a common thread that you probably can detect now that was always there, but it wasn't very clear to you, or it wasn't very apparent before. And that is the narcissist and cluster B personality tends to not be very engaged in the relationship. They're not present. For example, you have simply expressed what you have experienced with the narcissist. You may say something like, I don't like what you just said. The narcissist and cluster B personality, they may respond with acting like they don't know what you're talking about. That's one way that they are not engaged. They're not present in the relationship. You feel like you are all on your own. A lot of us who have relationships with narcissists and cluster B personalities, this is something that we often experience. And that is, we feel like we're floating out there alone. We're all alone in the relationship with him or her. Well, guess what? The narcissist and cluster B personality, they're not fully engaged in the relationship because they aren't fully present. They're usually reenacting. The narcissist and cluster B personality, they are often reenacting something that is unresolved or remains to be unresolved. It could be childhood trauma. It can be a painful issue from the past. It could be a previous relationship that they had. It goes unresolved. They left things unsaid, undone. So now that they're in a relationship with you, they're reenacting that. The same thing that they deny is going on with him or her, such as they're being in a lot of pain about something. The narcissist and cluster B personality, they don't like to think that they are human beings having a human experience like the rest of us, and who are prone to be faced with challenges. The narcissist and cluster B personality, they think they're beyond and above all of that. So when they are reminded that they're human, or they are just like the rest of us, sometimes they express that by narcissistic rage or injury, narcissistic injury or narcissistic rage. So whenever one expresses what he or she has experienced, and it may have been heartbreak, it may have been heartache and pain by the shenanigans of a narcissist, he or she will put a wall up. They will become very guarded. They will check out more than they often are checked out. They're not present in the relationship. This is something that now that you take a look at it, you will begin to see that particular pattern. It was there all along. He or she tends to check out very often, especially when it comes to you expressing disappointment, sadness, and pain of some sort. Sometimes when they goad you into an argument, they're hoping that you become reactionary. This way, they can tap into your energy field and draw from that. Their false self-image is then supplied. So this thing about having a narcissist in your life and having a cluster B personality in your life can be very tiresome. It can also be very confusing as well as very tricky. This is not your typical dysfunctional relationship. There's your typical dysfunctional relationship, and then there's your dysfunctional relationship with a narcissist and or cluster B personality. They're two different beasts. They're two different worlds. The cluster B personality is a personality disorder. One of the clusters or symptoms of the cluster B personality is that of a narcissistic personality. So these individuals have a fixed yet a very complex personality disorder. This is why having a dysfunctional relationship with him or her is not your typical dysfunctional relationship. I certainly hope you all have enjoyed this video and this vlog. Please check the description box below. And friendly reminder, every Thursday, every Sunday, there are new videos that usually come out on this channel. I'm Luminousz Star. Thank you so much, my stars, for your time. And if this is your first time visiting, again, thank you very much. I certainly hope you enjoy the rest of your day and your night. Wherever you are, I wish you the very best. Stay tuned for more vlogs and stay tuned for more videos.